What's going on? I've been kind of mulling over the fact that I didn't know if I wanted to do this video because I think it's been beaten to death so many times on YouTube about people's journey and their software, yeah, dev journey, I guess. But I'm gonna tell you mine anyway. And if you like what you hear, well, that's good. Otherwise, you'll have heard it, 100 more times. Um, I basically, I'll just kick it straight off. I basically just got into it in about 2015, and I just decided that I needed to start doing something else. I had a child, and I was kind of working in a warehouse, and I didn't really like what I was doing. And before that, I had worked as an electrician, but even prior to that, or one night prior to that, but during also my early years from around 2007, I lived in Whistler in Canada, and I kind of just blew my 20s just snowboarding and skateboarding. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, so I just decided that I would do those things during that time. I had no real world skills. Like I had a bit kind of like I said, I worked as an electrician, but I mean I didn't really want to do that, and I kind of quit after a couple of years. But even in my high school days, or we didn't really call it high school, we called it secondary school. I hated school, and I just didn't apply myself, and I wasn't particularly book smart to begin with anyway. So so that's kind of how things went for me up until into my early 30s, and then I just decided to start studying, and I kind of took the path of just looking online, and then I started with Free Code Camp, went through all the procedures of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Spent about a better part of 8 months doing that. And then I moved into kind of the frameworks of like React, and then worked on the back end with kind of Node and stuff like that. Now, by no means am I a good programmer, I wouldn't say. And I don't think that that's really what defines you as a programmer. I think your logic skills is what defines you as a programmer. But how my journey kind of went from there is like I put in a good amount of time studying. Like I said, for like the first 6 months, I think I was just messing with HTML and CSS, and I was doing a lot of online tutorials, and I got stuck in that kind of tutorial purgatory. I think a lot of people do. But but it was good. Like I took a lot away from it. But I think when you're beginning to become a programmer, you need to try and, like everyone says, you just need to build it and just try it out and see how it works. I would never tell someone to go and build a full application. I think that's kind of a bad way to go. I think just start very small and just kind of work on buttons and make things like be able to go to another page and stuff like that. But I'll get into that maybe later on in another video or something. But anyway, from there then I kind of I studied for the next, I don't know, 2.5 years. And then I decided, all right, I'll start applying, because I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a job now. I think I know a lot. And I applied, and I got a few misses, but then I got one hit, and I went to an interview, and I didn't bullshit the interviewer. I just straight up said, this is what I'm doing, this is what I know, here's some code that I've written. They didn't put me through a technical interview or anything. The guy just said, yeah, we'll take you on. He's like, I want to be able to train you and everything, and see how it goes. And he was my first employer, and the lead tech, or he was the only one there. So I was hired on basically as the junior, and then we had a designer as well. So I didn't really touch CSS, which was quite nice. I got to focus all my on everything on kind of JavaScript and React, and then Node. So I had to work in kind of the front and back. So it was really difficult. Everything I felt like I learned from the start went out the window. So I thought like, oh, you know, I'll be able to apply my skills, but I wasn't. I had to learn pretty much everything from scratch, and I had to kind of learn it his way, the way my mentor taught me. And I used TypeScript as well once I started on the job, and I learned a lot. I was there for like 3 years. So I worked in the biotech industry, and it was really tough. There were so many moving parts. There was there was the kind of the web page that you could buy the product from. Then there was the other part of the application where basically that was built for the scientists, where they could come in and sign in, and we set up like this kind of platform where they could they had these, I don't know if you know, the trays. You probably saw them during the pandemic, where you put the pet, I think it's called, and it puts like the vials into these slots. Anyway, we had to set up like an application based on that, and then I had they had a partner site. So a lot of the times I was working on basic web applications, but it had a lot, like I said, a lot of moving parts. So it was really, really technical, and it was really challenging. And I was there for about 3 years, I think, almost 3 years. And by the time it was kind of coming towards the end, they had finished up most of it. And then my boss, my mentor, who I'm still very friendly with, he's a super amazing guy, and he taught me so much. And being able to apply it now to what I'm doing in my new job has been amazing. I kind of lucked out. I really did luck out, because I got the best mentor, and that's what you should be hoping for when you start a new position as a software developer, that you get a great mentor. And yeah, like, you know, it was sad that I kind of had, it wasn't so much that I got fired, but that he was like, you know, that there's not going to be much more for you, and like your learning is going to just go down from here, because the applications are kind of somewhat finished now, and all you'll really be doing is maintenance. So I moved over to another job, and it was really hard to get another job. In fact, it was way harder to get a new job than it was to get the first job, because I think they expected more. They expect a lot more from you, because you have already done the job, and they're like, well, what can you do? And I had went to interviews. I went for interviews with like IKEA. That was a brutal interview. Like, that just fell apart. But that was not really on me. The recruiter told them that I was a senior, and when I went for the interview, they were expecting me to do all this kind of know all this senior knowledge, and I just, like, they were just like, yeah, they're like, I don't think you're right for the role. They're like, you don't really know enough to be a senior. And I was like, well, I'm not a senior. And they're like, well, the recruiter told us. And I was like, oh, so that really hurt my pride. But then I got into a consultancy company, and now I have a client, and they're really large corporation. I had said in some other videos, you'd most likely have some of their products in your house. And I work for their kind of network, and they have kind of sub businesses inside of it. So now I work as a developer, but also kind of the lead. So not a tech lead by any means. I'm not going around, you know, telling everyone how to write their code, because I'm nowhere near that kind of caliber of a coder. But I did the architecture. I decided what we were going to use to build it, and I think now we're using Next.js and AWS Cloud and Postgres and stuff like that. So it's a really great project, but I code a lot less now, because I do a lot of other admin. I have to chase other people down and say, you know, are you meeting these deadlines, and so on and so forth. So a lot of my skills are not, like I said, I'm not a great coder, and everything I learned is just through research. I didn't try to reinvent the wheel or anything. So, you know, it's been great. I don't get paid a huge amount. I'm living in Europe, and the salaries here are considerably lower when you look at the States. It's crazy that I see some of the people in the States, they earn like insane money. I just don't know how they do it. I guess when you look at all the firings that have been going on in the major companies, you kind of get to see why. But and that's really kind of where my journey comes to. I know I kind of skipped over maybe a lot of stuff, but if you're getting into this whole thing, I think you should. I think there's still lots of stuff out there, even if it's not in coding. Like there's other things you can do, like data analysis. I did data analysis when I first started at the company. They wanted me to learn do this report, and I just learned, I think it was ClickSense, and then Excel, and then I had learned Postgres and everything like that. So it was it was really fun, and I learned all these new things, and then I was like, oh sweet, I can do basic data analysis, which is great. It's added that to my resume, and those things are really good, and I think it's really important if you want to become a developer that you add extra things to your IT knowledge, not just coding, but other things as well. And yeah, I mean, for any junior out there worrying about getting into it, because I know ChatGPT is now kind of, they're saying that it's going to take a lot of jobs. I don't fully agree with it, but at the same time, I understand. The best way to look at it is that something like that, when it comes out, it's just a tool, and you should use it as a tool, and it will help you a lot more. Actually, it would have been amazing to have it back when I had started, but we didn't. So I hope it was informative. I know I kind of glossed over a lot of things, but I mean, it's fucking 12 minutes into this video, and I don't, people tend to get bored after a while. So I hope you liked it, and if you have any questions in the comments, just ask, and I'll try and write back. All right.